so good to have you here, Pastor Todd Lamphere.
Thank you, Rabbi Tully. Appreciate it.
Pastor Todd is a good friend of Israel 365 through your work as a chief of staff of Pastor Paula White Ministries, but also with the National Faith Advisory Board.
Yes.
And City Serve International. Those are three amazing organizations, three hats that you wear.
Three hats I wear.
Yeah. And we are proud to work together, especially now, especially during this war. Yesterday, we had the honor, really, of being down south by the Gaza border, just 2 miles from the Gaza border, at a very, very special community called Ain HaBesor, or in English, it's really the Brook of Besor.
That's right.
The Brook of Besor. Tell us about your impressions and the people who we met there, what they went through on October 7th.
You know, war creates heroes. And situations that happened on October 7th created heroes. And in this Moshav of Ain HaBesor, you have some people that just, they were the Ezekiel 33 watchmen on the wall, and when the Hamas terrorists came to wreak the damage and havoc that they were wanting to do, there were a handful of guys who said, not in our town. And they just took matters in their own hand and really repelled the terrorists, so that killed them, got rid of them, and the town was saved.
Yeah, and really just the nick of time. I mean, they showed us the security footage, and they were trying to figure out what is going on. They knew something was not normal. They closed the gate just in time. They organized the men. Luckily, the men there, some of the men have guns, not enough, but they were able to repel the terrorists and save their families, their wives, and their children. And Ain HaBesor, though, is an ancient place in Israel. Wherever you go in Israel, there's a historical and biblical connection. But Ain HaBesor is unbelievable, from the book of Samuel 1, chapter 30.
Yeah. It is a great story. It's the story of David and Ziklag, and David comes back after fighting, and the Amalekites, those pesky people that that should have been destroyed a long time ago. They take his family, all the 600 David's 600 mighty men, their family, their cattle, and they go after the Amalekites. They're going to retrieve and they're going to restore everything that was taken from them. In fact, God promised that you will recover all.
Yes.
And they did.
Yeah.
But there were 200 of the 600 who just, they had just fought a battle and they were just beyond fatigued. And at the valley and the spring of Besor, they said, I can't go any farther.
Yeah.
And that's the biblical significance. And I think the beauty is, as David had his 600 mighty men, God's creating a whole new realm of mighty men.
Yeah, that's who we met, those mighty men.
That's right.
I mean, it's unbelievable, because if you look at chapter 30 in the book of Samuel, it's as if it's describing October 7th. By the time David and his men arrived in Ziklag on the third day, the Amalekites had made a raid into the Negev and against Ziklag. They had stormed Ziklag and burned it down. They had taken the women in it captive, all the women, the lowborn, the highborn alike. They did not kill any, but they carried them off and went their way. And now, how does the mighty King David respond to the kidnapping of the women and the children? When David and his men came to the town and found it burned down and their wives and sons and daughters were taken captives, David and his troops broke into tears until they had no strength left for weeping.
Yeah.
I mean, could you imagine King David? His story is not as well known as it should be, but his own wife and children were taken hostage, just like these Jews in southern Israel, taken hostage. And it's the most crippling and devastating thing that even David broke down in tears.
Well, and tears are, God according to Psalms, collects our tears, and, weeping may endure for the evening, but, joy comes in the morning. And that's what we see in this story here is they wipe away the tears and they pursue.
I love it. And how do they pursue in verse 8? So he's not sure what to do. So he calls the priest and he inquires of God, shall I pursue those raiders? Will I overtake them? Right? I mean, hostages is a very serious situation. Is it worth endangering their lives or not endangering their lives? What should I do? He asked the Lord. And what does God say? Pursue, for you shall overtake and you shall rescue.
Yeah.
And that's the same spirit that, God is with the IDF. And just in short amount of time, they turned the tables on Hamas, and now they have them completely surrounded, and they've taken over their. Did you see that image of the IDF soldiers in the Gaza Parliament room?
Yes, yeah, that's right.
And God's saying, He's with them.
Yep.
And then, so sure enough. And skipping, the whole story is unbelievable here. And everybody should read chapter 30 in the book of Samuel. And just want to make it clear, though, that it's David and the 600 men with him set out, and they came to the Besor brook, where a halt was made by those who were to be left behind. And so they used that as their staging ground.
Yeah.
The brook of Besor, they used it as their staging ground. And from there, David meets the Amalekite, the Egyptian.
The Egyptian, that's right.
Who is a servant of the Amalekites. And of course, they were cruel to him. David feeds him. David shows him love and grace and compassion. And then from there, they move on and they're able to rescue all of the hostages.
They recovered all.
David rescued everything that the Amalekites had taken. David also rescued his 2 wives. Nothing of theirs was missing. Young or old, sons or daughters, spoil or anything else that had been carried off. David recovered everything.
And that really is that's our prayer, our hope, and our belief that that's going to happen here as well.
God willing, yeah.
God willing.
Pastor Todd, what a pleasure to speak with you.
Same here, my friend.
To partner with you.
Thank you for what you're doing. And Israel 365 is such an amazing organization that's really doing such a great job of connectivity and educating people around the world. So thank you.